Hi everybody. I'm just sharing this because I think that we need to start asking some serious questions about just what is going on. We are living in a very controlled world at the moment, and we are being controlled by a corporate media, corporate government, for corporate interests. You know, Brexit's all about corporate interests, protecting the Crown's offshore territory, tax havens. That's what it's about. They're driving people down. They have got a depopulation agenda. You know, they want to... apparently, there's too many old people. There's a problem about the fact that people are getting old. They're living too long, and this is a risk for the global economy. We must do something urgently. This is a leaked memo posted on October 9th, 2018. So this was, you know, a couple of years ago. This is where they were at. This is what they were discussing at Davos. I'll leave you the link. I've done a bit longer video covering it, so, you know, I'll leave the link to that under here that goes into quite a few other issues as well. That's dealing directly with things that the government's Britain's trying to introduce here, such as putting all people over age 70 under house arrest and telling them they're not allowed to go to the doctors, or they aren't allowed to go to hospital. It is outrageous. It really is outrageous. So, you know, I'm just concerned. I think this is way out of proportion because, look, apparently we've got like what, over 1,000, is it maybe 2,000 cases by today, and out of them, well, yesterday it was over 1,000 cases and 35 dead. But since we haven't been testing people barely at all in Britain, you know, there's probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, carrying this virus. And but so far we've had 35 died through that have been identified. It's like, look, 43,900 excess deaths in England and Wales last winter, the highest number since 1999. So, you know, you look at like 1999, nearly 50,000 died of flu. We're talking flu, okay? It states it here. A major cause behind the rise was the flu virus. Estimates showing that the flu vaccine was not as effective this winter compared to previous years. Really? What? Is that because there was a new strain of flu going around? Respiratory illnesses such as influenza and pneumonia were the underlying causes of death in more than a third of all winter cases. Okay. It's like the winter death rate was 27% higher. Excess winter death rates. Flu the main cause. So, you know, what's that? 10,000 a month dying? 2,500 a week? Did you see mass panic? Did you see the media going on about it all the time? I mean, here's one report in the BBC. This was 25th of November 2015. And it wasn't until November 2015 that they decided to let us know that that the winter between 2014 and 2015, so that's the end of December 2014 to January 2015, January, February, March 2015, 40,000 people, over 40,000 people had died. But BBC doesn't report about it until 25th of November 2015. And then, oh, you know, from spiking, it goes right down. You know, there is an agenda here. I have to say it, because it is out of proportion. Now, they play tricks. They get the public to start demanding quarantine and isolation, and we need to close this down, and we need to stop mass public gatherings. Where was all that? Where was all that in 2014 to 2015? Were 43,000. So you can imagine today, if with these regular reports about how many people are contracting coronavirus and how many are dying. Oh, death toll's gone up from 10 now. Oh, it was 10 on Friday. It's 35 today. Oh, it's going up. Well, 2,500 a week were dying in 2014 to 2015. On average, 2,500 a week. Now, they very cleverly here separated influenza and pneumonia. But we all know that pneumonia is directly related to the influenza, because that's what kills people, pneumonia. So some people die of the influenza itself, but then others, from getting the influenza, that then leads to pneumonia, and then they're diagnosed as dying of pneumonia. When we know that the two are directly linked. But where was the mass panic? Where was the mass public concern about sending the children to school or going and sitting on a bus? Where were all the masks and people mass buying toilet rolls and pasta? I believe that this is a total psy-op, and it's all been orchestrated yet again by the media, the global media, and then even the alternative media, who a lot of them are controlled opposition in service to exactly the same people that run the mainstream media. And they're all there, all waiting. Oh, Boris Johnson, like Boris Johnson liar, suddenly for once tells the truth. Well, we'll just let it run through the herd. That's what they did in 2014, 2015, in that winter. They just let it run through the herd. There were no questions asked about, apparently, the vaccine had failed that year. Why did the vaccine fail? Is it because this was a new strain of flu that the vaccine doesn't treat? It wasn't discussed. It wasn't discussed exactly which strain of flu it was that was killing so many people. Because there are hundreds of strains of flu. That's why they tell you when you have the flu vaccination, it doesn't protect you against all strains of flu. Only the most common strains. We need to get a grip as a nation, and we need to look around us and what is going on here. What is the hidden agenda? Just in Europe, before this coronavirus hit, we knew the markets were going to crash. Everybody, if the financial world have been warning since last year that a massive, major global financial crash is coming. Now they're trying to blame it on the coronavirus. The coronavirus has caused this crash. It hasn't. The crash was coming. And this is all about now controlling people through this crash, and even denying elderly people healthcare, telling them they've got to stay in their homes and they're not allowed to go to the GP and they're not allowed to go to the hospital. Getting us ready for Brexit, encouraging panic buying, because apparently it's on the grapevine that Boris Johnson wants to get us out of Brexit in June. So we will be having empty shelves. But, we'll blame the empty shelves on people panic buying over coronavirus, won't we? Seriously, people, we are in some very, very dangerous times. And we need to understand the facts, okay? This Tory government, a criminal government, we've got the same far-right fascist control in America, now taking over Europe as well. What we're dealing with is a new strain of flu that appears to have the same impacts as other new strains of flu. that in previous years we've never batted an eyelid about. Nobody batted an eyelid about 43,900 deaths. We didn't even hear about it from the BBC until 25th of November 2015. The BBC, that could not give a toss for the general public of Britain, really could not give a toss. They are total corporate whores. Is it really the most accurate description of them? So why are they all suddenly very concerned now and all talking to ministers and getting people to accept the seriousness of this situation and scaring people? It's a distraction, because the real scare and the real threat is a hard Brexit that Boris Johnson's going to deliver. The real scare, the real threat is our NHS being totally sold off to USA corporations. The real threat are the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of deaths that will be delivered through 50 years of austerity after Johnson's criminal hard Brexit. Because nobody votes for a hard Brexit. A hard Brexit is the punishment that nations get when they're kicked out of the EU. So, Britain just boots ourselves out of the EU, don't we? No, we don't want your affordable, safe food, plentiful food that's just on our doorstep. We're going to go and buy very expensive, unsafe food from America. Oh, and we haven't even got a deal for that yet. Oh, that's it. We're going to get a deal for that when we agree to let American health insurance corporations take over our NHS to make a profit out of the British people every time we get flu. Okay, look, we need to get a grip as a nation. We really do. We have some serious things to be thinking about. And we do need to get active, because we are talking about a criminal act against Britain on behalf of the foreign territories that are the corporate crown's properties. They're nothing to do with the British people, apparently. Repeatedly, our government, British governments have stated that, oh no, these are independent territories. These are independent. We have no power over these territories. So why are we having Brexit specifically for those territories? And, do British people even know how many territories there are? These are besides Jersey and, the tax haven islands around Britain, we've got, Anguilla, Bermuda, British Antarctic Territory, British Indian Ocean Territory, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Montserrat, Pitcairn, Henderson, Ducie and Oano Islands, St Helena and St Helena Dependencies, Ascension and Tristan da Cunha, South Georgia and South Sandwich Islands, sovereign base areas of Akrotiri and Dekelia, Cyprus, and the Turks and Caicos Islands, right? All of them British Crown territories, all needing protection from EU tax law directives. It is outrageous. It really is. And as I've stated here, when you look at the legalities, it's the Crown's offshore tax haven territories are completely separate from mainland UK. The Crown's territories do not include EU and UK rights and laws, and they are none of them democracies. Therefore, the Crown's offshore interests are lawfully recognised as foreign interests, supporting foreign powers, and those interests do include nations such as Israel and USA, as well as Kremlin-connected Russian and USA oligarchs. being as Johnson and his government, who now commandeer Parliament, are evidenced to be acting solely in favour of the Crown and its offshore interests. Legally, Mr Johnson PM is an agent of those foreign powers, and the Crown has abused its place of trust and perception as a benign influence within UK. The Crown now controls UK government, and that is not acceptable. It is a revolt against we the people and an act of violence against all the lawful precedents that found our constitution. Those precedents include UK membership of Europe's Free Trade Union. One thing we know for certain, far-right extremists do not at all like free trade unions, and they don't. And this thing, it's about preparing us for Brexit. It's about preparing the whole of Europe now for this financial crash. They are at this moment moving. How many troops? Thousands of American troops are all heading into Europe right now. Apparently for an exercise to test Europe's bridges to see if they'll hold military hardware. Seriously, I'll get you the link up. And here we go. I found out about this through Lat American Vagabond, and I'll leave his video link under this as well. He does do some excellent coverage of stuff like this. But, 20,000 troops are now entering into Europe, along with 10,000 others already on site, and 7,000 NATO allies are presently arriving in Europe from the USA, informs the US Army Europe. Where are the 7,000 NATO allies from then? They are to deploy throughout the European region. The US forces are bringing with them 33,000 pieces of military equipment, from personal weapons to Abrams assault tanks. It is obvious that they will therefore need adequate infrastructures for their transport, but there is a problem as revealed by a report by the European Parliament, February 2020. So this is a pretty new thing. Since the 1990s, European infrastructures have been developed only for civil usage. However, military mobility has become a key question for NATO, as the alliance lacks the tools to improve military mobility in Europe, and the European Union, which does possess the legislative and financial tools to do so, plays an indispensable role. So apparently these 20,000 plus troops, nearly 40,000 altogether, arriving in Europe with all their military hardware in order to test our roads and bridges. Seriously, at the time that we're going through this alleged pandemic of flu, a new flu virus, there's something going on bad here, and this is takeover of the New World Order. This is what it is about. And we need to stand up for our rights. As Jesus said, have no cares for your health. When it comes to standing up for your human rights, your universal human rights, our God-given rights, and our God-given law, that none of these people controlling the world right now are operating on the foundation of universal law. It's more like Luciferian law of might equals right to do as thy will. Rapist law. I'm bigger and stronger than you. I can do what I like to you. And until you get strong enough to stop me from doing what I like to you, I will keep on doing it. This is really... We need to get real. We need to save our NHS. We need to protect our elderly people. They are national treasures, every single one of them. They are our living history, and we need them, and our children need them. They want to persuade people that we shouldn't be living longer. So-called deaths of despair among older men have become common. Old women, despite fearing becoming burdens to their children, hang on. In response, the consortium suggests that age shaming, to which older women seem more easily prone, may be the simplest means by which to achieve ... which is, you know, basically persuading people that ending up begging on the street in poverty is inevitable. Demented old women on street corners begging or crying will almost certainly need a different publicity campaign to make this seem inevitable. Because apparently old men who suddenly become homeless, well, they can be portrayed as victims of their own vices. Because apparently the global elite, the criminal cabal, they don't have vices. You know, the Cayman Islands aren't absolutely full of laundered money and created by every crime imaginable, even child trafficking. So I think we need to get a grip. We need to wake up, lose the fear, okay? Lose the fear. And at the same time, recognise that, oh yeah, that's what it feels when you're suddenly worried for your life, okay? And that is what we need to be understanding about Brexit, because Brexit is the bigger threat. Brexit is going to kill far more people than this particular strain of flu is going to kill. And like I say, not a word about it. We all should be very wary when the mainstream media is pushing this kind of hype, because I know for a fact when this was going on, because I had people who worked in nursing homes phoning me up and contacting me through Facebook, through private messages, telling me how concerned they were that the nursing home had gone into lockdown and no staff were allowed to go in, and the people in there were just dying in droves. And they weren't allowed to talk to the media about it. And the media were not allowed to cover it. Instead, we heard about it all during the winter of 2015. But these deaths happened from 2014 to early 2015. But the BBC does not discuss it until nearly a year later. Okay, but now the BBC is very, very concerned. Oh, and there's no tests going on in Britain, really, to speak of. And now there's a big rush for a vaccine. Honestly, people, we need to stop being sheep. Stop listening to the dogs. Okay, think for yourself. Look at the information. Analyse, examine the evidence. Make an informed judgment about what is really going on here and take steps, you know, and this is one of the steps that we need to do, is we do need to get organised and bring a class action against this government, and also to have a thorough police criminal investigation into this alleged landslide victory that Boris Johnson is now at number 10 on. It's very, very suspicious, and I'll leave you a link again to check that out. So, you know, please, people, I hope this helps put things into perspective. Look, connect the dots, okay? Connect the dots and understand what is really going on. Get a grip on reality. Otherwise, we are just going to be running around like headless sheep in a panic.